might be a bad idea for you to take an offer from a buyer that is contingent upon them selling their own home. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. I just want to talk about selling a home as far as being on a seller's point of view. Selling to a buyer that has to sell their home to purchase your home. Lots of issues that can come up with this. One thing that I want to kind of talk about here, one issue, there's multiple that I'm going to kind of bring up, is the first problem is creating a daisy chain effect. So this buyer over here wants to sell their home to move in here. And there are a lot of issues that come about from selling this person to the next buyer involved. Depending on the contract that's put together and if there's any type of kick-out clauses involved with selling the home to the buyer, this could be problematic for a number of different reasons. So, this person now has to fully trust that this buyer is going to sell their home on time based on the contract that they agreed to for escrow, at the right price, right timing. There's a lot of things that are associated involved with that as well. So this daisy chain effect could be problematic. So what happens if this buyer has to sell their house to this person, this buyer that's moving up to this, as far as creating that exchange? So now this seller has to trust that this person's gonna sell their house and then this person's gonna sell their house. And what happens is, you as a seller, when you're selling your house, you obviously want to buy your house, so you can't really move. So you have to wait. You have to wait until this is all completed. So you have this ripple effect. Now what happens if this buyer says, you know what, I'm not moving forward because I didn't qualify for my loan, I don't like the repairs, there's something wrong with it, the appraisal didn't work out, what happens? Then this X's out, and then this happens, and then moving up the chain, there's a lot of people that are hurt in this scenario. So how do you, as a seller that is selling this contingent upon this, how do you do that? What are you looking at? Well, first of all, you're looking at if this buyer is realistic on selling their house on time and in the right manner. So, one, did the buyer list their house? Is it on the market? Are they priced correctly? What's the average days of market on this house? So let's just say that this house is for $1 million and they're selling this house at $900,000. Well, there's not that much of an average days on market. The higher that you go as far as the sales price of your home, the longer it takes to move. So not that much of a difference. So knowing what the average days on market is for houses of this price, and obviously further down the line gives you the ability to understand where that goes. And so that can be problematic, going down the chain. So $900,000 into $1 million home, that person could take forever to sell that to the next buyer. The other consideration is, that's pretty much it as far as on the price. If it was something a little bit down the line, like somebody who's selling their house at $400,000, maybe you would take that offer because, based on the pyramid of buyers, more people can qualify at the lower end than at the higher end. So these are potential things to kind of take a look at as far as scenarios on the market and everywhere for an aspect of things. So, generally we don't recommend a seller selling their home to a buyer that's contingent upon selling their house to the next buyer. Most of the time, that if that were the case, so as far as a buyer moving up, is that their house is in escrow and it's about to close. That would be the best situation at that time. Well, actually, the best situation is, you know, they don't have to sell their house at all. Just they're going to buy it as is and deal with this part later if they have that type of scenario. So that's where we have right now. What else? And another problem that we have is taking your home off the market. Once you as a seller have agreed to the buyer, as far as with that contract, you effectively take your house off market in a way, not off market type of deal, is that you have an agreed to contract with the buyer from that point on. And so what do you do as far as to market the house? What happens if that buyer doesn't fulfill their promises that they're going to sell their house on time? What do you do? So that's another problem as well, is that if it takes 90 days for that person to sell their house, you probably missed out a good portion of good buyers that could have bought your house. So from our standpoint, as far as our expertise, is that generally speaking, we do not allow, we advise our clients not to take an offer from a buyer that's contingent upon them selling their home. There's a lot of hoops that can come about it. And generally speaking, as far as a seller, the less contingencies, the better the deal. The smaller time period for the contingencies, the better the deal. So from this standpoint, unless it's somebody that you really truly believe, which 9 times out of 10 we would say no. We would not recommend selling your home to a buyer that hasn't sold their home. So thanks for joining. I'll keep you up to date with more videos from me, Conrad Bajeka, Millennial Realtor. And thanks for watching, and we'll touch base later.